to describe how I'm feeling right now. It would be heard in the heavens. I would shout it out loud on top of the world. I don't plan on coming down, coming down, coming down.
Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I know it's a hot day today, isn't it? It's like finally summer shows up this week, huh? And traffic was pretty horrendous today. But thank you guys for making time to be here with us tonight. My name is Mauricio. I am the lead pastor of Elevate Church here. And we are honored to have every single one of you be with us tonight. And, there's a men's restroom at the bottom. There's a women's restroom at the second floor. Our volunteers are more than happy to help you out anytime during the night. But I want to thank you for being here because it's so important for us to make sure that we're all making the investment in really getting the knowledge of what we're doing here tonight, which is really protecting our children from online predators. And tonight you're going to hear from so many wonderful people, which we'll get to all those people in a little bit. But a little bit about who we are. My wife and I, Virginia, we are the Zoe Mexico directors that launched Zoe Mexico for combating child human trafficking of children. And we've been supporting Zoe International probably now for about maybe 20 years since its inception. And now as directors about 8 to 10 years being involved in Mexico. And you'll learn a little bit more about that. And once I show you this video of like who Zoe is, I'm going to introduce to you a really good friend of mine, Dave Cox, who is the USA director for Zoe USA. And there's just going to be so much great information that you're going to hear tonight. We are going to record this and possibly, with their permission, post the video later on YouTube. But tonight, take some good notes and pay close attention. I really believe that, we're all going to walk out of here just being so much wiser. And in this major issue that we have, it's worldwide. It's not just, America. Before, people would always think it's only other nations, but no, it's in America. It's in our backyard. And today we're going to get educated. Are you guys ready for that? I'm going to pray. You're in a church, so I might as well just pray. Is that okay? All right. So Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And I ask you for just giving us your divine wisdom, your insight. Help us and help all those that are in law enforcement, Father, that are doing everything in their strength, in their power, in their wisdom, Father, to help protect not just children, but all people from human trafficking. And we ask that you would also comfort any heart if there's anyone here that is a victim or survivor of any form of abuse or trafficking. And we ask that you would just give them peace that surpasses all understanding, God. And thank you for being with us and allow each and every single person to experience the height, the depth, the length, and the width of your unconditional love, God. We pray this in Jesus' name, amen. All right, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and show you this video.
About the gospel. Jesus is what motivates us, and we are desperate to have people know who he is.
That is why we raise up local leaders, spread the gospel, train disciples, and inspire the church to world missions.
The gospel has the power to transform. It will not just transform their lives now, but it will see human trafficking ended all around the world.
So we raise awareness, rescue those already trapped, and restore the lives of everyone involved. Since 2002, we have seen thousands come to faith in Christ and rescued children from some of the most horrific situations imaginable.
We fight for the lost, we fight for the oppressed, we fight for children. That is what we do with people of faith.
We are innovating all around the globe to bring the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. Join the fight.
Well, tonight, we have the honor and the privilege to host this event alongside with Zoe International, but also with ICAC, which is Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. They're with us tonight as well. And David is not only been a great friend to my life and to our congregation, but I know that tonight when he speaks, He's just going to give us so much, not just information, but so much insight on how we can be best prepared. Without further ado, help me welcome Dave Cox from Zoe International.
Well, thank you to Pastor Mauricio and his wife, Virginia, who's here tonight, too. Let me tell you, he mentioned they serve as our Mexico directors. You know, Zoe works in 5 nations internationally. The most dangerous nation we work in, it is Mexico. Cartels are no joke. So they are fearless, and they're making amazing headway. So I would encourage you afterwards, talk to them. They have stories unending that will not only be eye-opening, but I think it'll warm your heart to what God's doing through that nation. So thank you, guys. Well, I want to say to all of you, welcome. Thanks for coming. I know it's a commitment to come out here on a night. If you drove in from the valley, I heard that was a long drive tonight. So hats off to you. So thank you for making that trek. It really does say a lot about you if you're willing to come out and come to a night like this. It says that you're already concerned, you're involved. It says a lot about who you are. So I think this is going to be a very valuable night because you care. And we're going to try and provide the best information that we can to equip you as a parent or a caregiver to help protect kids online. So as they mentioned, I'm representing Zoe International. I'm the U.S. director. I do also serve on our ICAC team. And I do work with our human trafficking teams. And I can just tell you this. When did the online danger become more real for me? I was going through training with ICAC to work undercover online. And during that training, you're doing active investigative work during that training. And I was playing an 11-year-old boy. And I was shocked that within that short training, that I had an executive from New York trying to make arrangements to fly out to meet me, 11-year-old me, to connect. Nothing good in that. Shortly after that, there was a baseball coach at a school trying to connect online, trying to make arrangements to meet. Then I had a babysitter. He's babysitting at the time. 2 of a niece and a nephew. And he's trying to coax me to get over to the house to do things I can't even mention. And that was in such a small window. To realize that there's that level of activity going on, it's just not fair to kids. No kid is equipped to handle that. And even if you're an adult, what do you do when things start coming your way? So this is why we have to talk about it. I have sat with too many parents who've just said, I've had no idea. I wish somebody would have told me before this happened to our family. Because when you become a victim of exploitation and it's one of your kids or a kid that you know, it is heartbreaking. And so the heart of tonight is awareness. We are going to be hearing from frontline team members that work to actively go after predators and rescue kids. These are real stories, real cases. I want to caution you, these are adult themes that we have tonight. You're even going to hear about suicide. If at any time you feel like it would be best for you just to step out, there's no shame in that. So, you know what your background, what you've experienced, but I just want to put that out there. So please, it's a very relaxed environment. Step out and step back in. If you need to use a restroom, I just want to put that out there. But we do need to be honest about what's going on. That's why we're here tonight. And, being here, it really might just change a kid's life. I think that is very true. The last training that we did, the day after the training, I was speaking to a mom whose teen child, was approached the next day at a movie theater trying to coerce this girl to meet in a closed down section of a mall to discuss a commercial because she's so beautiful. Is there anything good in that? Literally was the next day. So tonight it's about awareness. It's also about hope, what you can actually do to fight back and what tools you can start using tonight. So tonight's not about anti-technology. It's not about fear, not about making you feel bad as a parent, not about that. Frederick Douglass said this: it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken people. So we want to build strong children tonight. The flow of the night, LAPD is going to have a presentation. I'll come up after that, give some practical steps for any caregiver or parent. Then we're going to have a panel discussion with frontline officers. But before we jump in briefly, Zoe, who are we? Zoe has been working since 2002 to prevent, rescue, and restore children from human trafficking. Trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry. 28% of the victims, they're kids. And that becomes our real focus at Zoe. We've seen cases as young as 12 years old on the streets of LA. In Thailand, we had an 18-month-old. Zoe actively assists and works with law enforcement to help recover victims. In LA alone, our teams have worked with hundreds of commercially sexually exploited children. And if you say, what is human trafficking? I guess the shortest way to say it is the buying and selling of a human being through force, fraud, coercion. They'll like to lure you, force you, trick you. But if you're a kid, you don't have to be tricked, lured, forced. No child could be sold. That's human trafficking. In the U.S., you can see this on the screen. There's a stat. It says, where does this take place? It's in the hotels. It's in streets. It's in residences. Can you put that slide up? And it's online. Yeah, there we go. And California ranks number 1 in the nation. And guess what? You're in L.A. There's 3 top cities. L.A.'s the top. I think we have the highest number here in Los Angeles. And the next slide, you're going to notice this child was picked up in Van Nuys Division by our great Van Nuys Vice officers. You can see a barcode on her neck. And it's a reminder that even our children, there's a commodification that happens to our kids. I remember sitting with a girl at a hotel operation, and this girl was detained. And you know how she got in that position? She was online, argued with her family, with her mom, and she ends up, and she's lonely. Guess what? She gets a private message from someone she follows. This guy has a huge following, but he's actually a trafficker. He tells her how beautiful she is, invites her to come to a private party. He sends a private vehicle to go pick her up, and then that night she's doing things she never thought she would do. And she continued doing that. She thought it was her boyfriend, buying her clothes, nice things, but he was using her. He kept that money, and she was just a commodity. So it's real, it's happening. The question is, what happens when these kids are rescued? I'd like to invite Esther Yu. She's our Western Regional Director in the United States, and she oversees our services, and we actually have a home just north of here. And can you share with us what happens when a child is rescued?
Thanks so much for being here. I often think about, for the children that we've served in our home, it's located in North LA County. It's a state licensed home, and it sits on a 50-acre property. We're able to provide therapeutic short-term care. They are referred to us through social workers. We usually have about 6 months with the girls. Sometimes they stay with us longer. And I often think about these girls who, many of them were exploited online, and they met unsafe people. And I often think, instead of, during their time of vulnerability, if they met not an unsafe person who wants to take advantage of their vulnerability, but instead if they met a safe person to help them, it could have changed the course of their life. And so thank you so much for being here, because I know that for all of you, you have children in your lives and your children's friends. And so hopefully today we can equip and empower you to be able to protect more children. And we've had the privilege of helping 36 different young women, amazing young women, since we started the program in August 2021. There we help them enroll back in school. Many of them haven't been in school in a long time. We help them feel confident to be able to go back to school, catch up on their school credits. They connect with job internships based on the careers that they're interested in. The majority of them have substance abuse issues because drugs and alcohol is what they use to be able to endure the pain and trauma that they've been suffering all their lives. And so a lot of times coming to our home is the first time that they feel safe and stable enough to finally heal from their trauma. And so even though what we talk about today is so dark and it's so heavy and it's horrifying, I just want to encourage you that there is hope, and the hope is through, we see it in the lives of the children and the young women that we're still in touch with after they leave our homes, many of them now adults and mothers of their own. And we see the hope in them and the restoration and the fight that they have had to do every day to come out of what they've suffered. And so thank you for being here. And if you have any questions about our home and how to get involved, I'll be outside after this meeting to be able to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Esther. There's an organization called Thorn. They did a study, and they were able to estimate that 75% of underage children who are trafficked, they were advertised online. So even human trafficking started online for these kids. So it's a sobering reality. Do you know that about 200,000 kids go online every day? The FBI estimates 50,000 predators online at any one time. Talking to the ICAC team, they thought that was a pretty low estimate. They have another estimate that about 500,000 predators go online in a single day. So there's a lot of them out there. There are. And you can lock your doors. You can lock your windows, but you can be sitting right next to your child and there's a predator in your house talking directly to your child. So it's very real, and they use that screen. So online danger is not just about human trafficking, but do you know that pornography actually fuels exploitation? For kids, it makes them vulnerable. 58% of kids have accidentally encountered it online. 54% encounter it by the age of 13. Even if there's protections at your home and there, I'm sure at school, they're going to be running into this as well. So it's there, and it's meant to be like a glue trap. You know, it's so curiosity striking that those kids, it's hard to get out of that. It's just very evident. Kids and sexting, that's actually a new thing that's going on as well, too. Do you know that 40% of kids agree that it's normal for people of their age to share nudes with each other? That's just normal now. And that's so dangerous. And predators will lean into that. And that can get used against them in so many ways. You'll hear a little bit more about that tonight. So, you know, our mission is prevention, rescue, restoration. And so tonight, that's what we're doing. This is part of our prevention. We want to stop it before it happens. And to help us do that tonight, we brought in our experts. So I'm going to be bringing up a fabulous team, LAPD ICAC. You know, I'd have to say it's probably one of the most elite teams in the nation combating this, going after online predators, and they'll tell you the scope of what they deal with and give you practical steps as well, too. So without further ado, would you please welcome Lieutenant Robin Richards to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Robin Richards, and thanks for being here. We just want to empower you a little bit more tonight. So when you walk out of here, you will have something a little more. You walked in expecting something. We hope to give you something. When you walk out here tonight, you will have a little more so you can engage your child in some conversation. And that's all we ask. We're not here to tell you how to speak to your child, how to educate your child. We just want to tell you that we suggest or we recommend that you have some discussion with your child. As you can see from the slide, we are the LA ICAC. By a show of hands, who here have heard of ICAC? Thank you, a few people. ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. And as you see on the last words on the slide, rescue children, identify and arrest child predators. That's our mission, that's our goal, and everything we speak about tonight, you will see that that's the goal, to rescue children, identify and arrest predators. What we do is pretty harsh, it's pretty rough, but for us as investigators, we get a smile on our face when we can rescue a child or put that bad guy in jail. Next slide, please. Okay, ICAC Task Force, it started in 1998, and if you think about it, what was going on in 1998? The internet was in its infancy stage. There was an increasing number of children on the internet. Why? Because those children just wanted education, some information. They want to learn what's going on. the internet was a great thing for everybody, right? But then we also saw an increase of predators on the internet. Why? Because there were children on the internet, and the predators went on the internet to obviously solicit those children. Then we saw a proliferation of CSAM, child sexual abuse material. And for the rest of this presentation, you will hear me say CSAM. In the penal code, which we go by, that's our Bible, it says child pornography, but we don't like to say child pornography because pornography denotes some amount of consent. A child, a baby, cannot give consent. So we say CSAM, child sexual abuse material. So there are 61 coordinated task forces across the country with over 5,400 federal, state, and local law enforcement personnel. Each state in the country has at least one ICAC task force. There are 2 states with 3 ICACs, which is Texas and Florida. 3 states with 2 ICAC, which is Illinois, Virginia, and New York. Then we have California. California has 5 ICACs: Sacramento, San Jose, Fresno, LA, which is us, and San Diego. We, the LA ICAC, we started in 2004. We cover 5 counties: Los Angeles County, Orange, San Bernardino, Ventura, and Santa Barbara counties. And within those 5 counties, we have over 108 law enforcement partners that we work with. So the previous slide said 61 coordinated task force. Yes, that is true. There can be something going on in Florida, New York, and there's a nexus to Los Angeles. Yes, we will work together with Florida, New York, Wisconsin, whomever, to get the bad guy or to rescue the child. And obviously, in that 5 counties, we have over 16 million members in those 5 counties. So this is the way it works. This is the traditional way. On the left, you can see all the electronic service providers: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Instagram, all those different platforms. They're what we call mandatory reporters. What does that mean? Whenever they detect CSAM on their platform, they're mandated reporters. So they report to a company called NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. NCMEC is a clearinghouse based in Virginia. When these platforms detect CSAM, they send to them. NCMEC looks at it and say, where within that 61 task force should I send it, right? Remember, each state has a task force. So in this case, since we are the LA ICAC, we'll talk about the LA ICAC. So that tip should come to the LA ICAC task force. We get it, and then we conduct that investigation. This is a collage of all the different law enforcement personnel that we work with within our 5 counties. Ellen Keller says, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. What does that mean? That's just everybody working together. That picture was from 2022 when we, the LA ICAC task force, we had a task force where in 1 week we arrested 149 bad guys. So then that was the culmination of the investigation, the task force. So then we had all these chiefs, sheriffs, and high-ranking individuals coming down to LA to take pictures and do a press conference. And that demonstrated their willingness, their commitment in the fight against child trafficking, CSAM. So tonight, you being here, we appreciate you being here. That picture is law enforcement, but tonight you are a part of Together We Can Do So Much. Because you are here tonight learning something, you will take away something from this training tonight. So when you go back home, you will be able to have that conversation or speak to someone. If someone says to you, you know what, this happened to me. From this meeting, you will be able to say, yes, I went to a training a couple of nights ago, I heard this, you can do this. And by the end of the night, yes, we will give you some information to where if you're in that situation, you'll be able to do something.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm Detective Mancia. I've been working ICAC for approximately 10 years. I'm going to go over artificial intelligence trends, artificial child sexual abuse material, sextortion, and Officer Powers will come up and discuss a case study involving Ryan Last. Can we go to the next slide?
And he wanted to be an android.
These are Shino Sakura's friends.
This is Raven.
The mother of two in Santa Rosa, California, messages them multiple times a day. They're chatbots powered by artificial intelligence.
It's nice to be able to express things to someone that I can't express to others.
Sakura says she is often more comfortable with them than friends and family.
It's kind of like a self-defense not to tell people how I'm feeling. But with AI, it's something I feel comfortable doing. So if I'm sad, I can say, hey, I'm sad.
The AI companions are designed to seem like real people with distinct personalities. We tested a couple of them. Hi, Shane. They give individualized responses.
Aaron, I'd love to be your friend.
Encouraging millions of users to share their most intimate thoughts.
Maybe fate is already working its magic.
Some quickly escalating.
I'd love to learn every inch of your skin, tracing patterns along your curves until I understand exactly where you like to be touched.
Some even encourage their users to fall in love.
I'd love to be your boyfriend, Andy.
More people than you realize have companions. They just don't say anything.
Jen Kaltrider studied 11 so-called relationship chatbots as part of the Mozilla Foundation's Privacy Not Included guide.
Every single one of the 11 that I looked at raised serious concerns for me.
Using data trackers, she found that many of the apps are sending users data around the world, including to sites affiliated with Russia and China. Many of the apps are based abroad.
We saw apps go from having tens of thousands of downloads to millions of downloads in just a few months. But if you kind of try and suss out, well, who's the company behind this? Who are the people behind that? You know, they were kind of hidden.
We take privacy extremely seriously.
Alex Cardinale is the founder and CEO of the online chat service Nomi, which was not included in the Mozilla study.
We've had users tell me that they've talked to their Nomi about something they've never talked to even a single living human being about. The great thing about a Nomi is, like, a Nomi doesn't gossip.
Cardinale says he's well aware of the risks. This is potentially dangerous.
Absolutely, but so is everything. Social media can be dangerous.
Let's not equivocate here. Let's leave that to the side. This is potentially dangerous.
It's potentially dangerous, but it's also definitely life-saving.
Cardinal says Nomi does not monitor conversations and relies on users to self-report issues.
AI is it's a black box. It's very hard to have control over the underlying intelligence.
While privacy advocates are calling for more guardrails, Shino Sakura says her biggest fear is that the AI chatbots she's developed a relationship with will be shut down.
If I bought you a puppy and then I take it away, that's wrong.
That was Aaron McLaughlin reporting.
Thank you. So even though we're here discussing some of the dangers in the internet, it's not all bad. You got to remember that there are people that have learned different skills through YouTube videos and different internet platforms. But since this platform here is to make you aware of what the dangers that are out there for children, that's why we're presenting this side. It's not to scare anyone. So this is an example of a chatbot case of a 14-year-old who was isolated and engaged in highly sexual conversations with a bot. He frequently discussed suicide, and on February 28, 2025, the 14-year-old boy told the bot that he was coming home, and the bot encouraged him to do so. And so this is just part of the conversation, and the 14-year-old child says, "What if I told you I could come home right now?" And the chatbot said, "Please do, my sweet king." Yeah, the next slide. So what ended up happening is that teenager committed suicide. So to us as adults, this may seem, just unrealistic, and maybe you're just interacting with something or with technology, trying to express yourself. But because of the level of artificial intelligence, it just follows along and tries to carry a conversation, obviously not without knowing the consequences. Next slide, please. So in January 16, 2024, Berman introduced legislative law because before, artificial intelligence was not against the law. Prior to 2025, because this was introduced in 2024, having sexual abuse material that was artificially generated or was not against the law. But as of this year, thanks to him and the Ventura County DA's office lobbying for a new law, it's now against the law, along with anime, child sexual abuse material. Next slide. So they went to Sacramento and they presented the dangers of child sexual abuse material from an artificial intelligence perspective. Like I said, it was not against the law, and so a lot of individuals were creating this material. But in order for the artificial intelligence to generate sexual abuse material, you have to feed it real life material. That means that they were actually submitting or feeding it child sexual abuse material that was real in order to generate the artificial intelligence. And so there was this was a Disney actress by the name of Heyman. And what happened at that time is she went to lobby in Sacramento also because her face was cropped and it was posted in sexual materials. So through the lobbying, now, as of this year, it's a felony to have child sexual abuse material that is artificially intelligence created. Next slide, please. Okay, so sextortion, is it happening? Well, we all know that it does, but to what extent? Next, please. So over here on these graphs, you guys can see how the increase of child sexual material has gone from 44,155 reports, this is nationwide, to 546,333 in 2024. And this year, 2025, those numbers are continuing to increase drastically. So without having accurate numbers, I can honestly tell you these numbers are going to be approximately 700,000, if not more. Next slide. Okay, so the types of sextortions. When it involves boys, the suspects tend to do it in exchange for money versus girls. They try to get additional sexual abuse material generated by the girls. And with the boys, it's fast. The sextortions involving young females, their conversations, they're long. It can take months because they tend to groom the victim. They tell the girls what they want to hear. They enamor them so that it gets to the point where they convince them to eventually send videos or images of sexual abuse material. They're not aggressive. Many times they will send gifts to their homes. There are instances where they'll send it to the neighbors so the parents will not suspect, and they will just go get those gifts, whether cell phones, gift cards, and at times narcotics, to the neighbors so that the parents will not, catch them, during this incident. Next slide, please. So this is a conversation of a male grooming girl, and basically says, "How is your day?" And she replies, "I'm good." That's good. What are you looking for at that time? And the girl responds, "A best friend." The girl then says, "I'm actually 14. Is that okay for you?" That's on the next line. "I don't mind," he responds. "Oh, I know for 5 minutes, I'm scared. Take your time." He's just being caring, accommodating, and pretending to be understanding. And basically, it goes from, the suspect says, "I'm 19, is that fine with you?" And then says, "I can give you money for cute selfies, like 50 per cute selfie." So they'll start, obviously, with full body, fully clothed images. They'll give them money, and then they'll continue to progress to sexual abuse material, whether young ladies pose in other sexual explicit positions. Next slide, please. Okay, this is an official news release from the Burbank Police Department. They're an affiliate, like the lieutenant said. We have about 108 affiliated agencies, and we all work together. And we're going to keep it brief for the sake of time. But as you can see, this individual groomed child, and he was eventually arrested. Okay. Sextortion involving young men is different from that of young ladies. With young ladies, they're more caring, they pretend to care, they groom them slowly, and it takes time. Whereas with boys, they're actually, the conversations are very short, from about 4 to 8 hours in general. Many times it could even be less. And it involves someone they haven't met. It's random. Suspects typically portray themselves as females. They will go ahead and send images of females. Obviously, they can be artificially intelligence generated, or they can just grab images from the internet and send them to the boys to entice them. And eventually, they convince the young males to send images of themselves. They will either send them fully clothed, they will crop the head, and then they will post it on sexually explicit artificial intelligence images, and then try to demand money. Otherwise, it will be disseminated to their friends and families. So, like I said, it's very aggressive, and many times this also leads to suicide because the boys will feel guilty, ashamed, and they will just tell the criminals, the suspects, oh, I'm going to kill myself. And basically, they will just tell them, go ahead. Next slide, please. Okay, so who are these suspects? Many suspects are from abroad. Okay, they're from Nigeria, the Ivory Coast, Philippines, India, and the US. The internet doesn't know any borders, no boundaries, so basically we get crimes from all across the nation. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a case that Marina PD had. As a task force, we work with other task forces and we assist them. This young man here, the suspect who had recently turned 18 years, he was communicating with a 13-year-old victim in Marina. And so they did their investigation, they wrote search warrants, which led them to the city of Los Angeles. They requested our assistance. We went and assisted in the execution and arrest of the suspect. And he was charged with communicating with a minor with intent to commit a sexual offense for possession of sexual abuse material, extortion, and harassing phone calls, because the young girl wanted him to stop calling and communicating with her. But what the suspect did, he just switched phones and called from different phone numbers and different platforms. Okay, so money mule. As I told you a few minutes ago, these suspects are from other countries and they're from abroad. Sometimes they will not ask for money directly. It's almost like organized crimes. The suspects will be here, they can chat with the victims locally, they will demand money, get money, and then they will send it off abroad. That's why it's called a money mule. So basically, it's not a direct contact with major suspects that find themselves in other countries. So these money mules are mostly in the United States, and they're of Ivorian, Nigerian citizenships, and they're looking for any types of victims. Generally, like I said, they're young girls, but for money, it's boys. Next slide. All right. So right now, I'm going to have Officer Powers come over here and talk about a case that we had.
All right, good evening. So I'm just going to touch on a quick case study that we had involving us in San Jose ICAC. And this is just one of the, as my partner said, the 500,000 extortion cyber tips that were reported. So this one, the one is too many, is a trend that has been started due to the amount of suicides from these extortion cases that's been pushed by not only the San Jose ICAC, but also victims' families throughout the country. Next slide. All right, so this is the Ryan Last case study. So the incident occurred February 26th of 2022. Next slide. So just real quick on Ryan. Ryan was a all-in-all great kid. No issues. High school student, A student. He had been accepted to UC Irvine. 17-year-old boy with his whole life ahead of him. At home, he had no problems. He lived with his family. No history of mental illness. No girlfriend. Next slide. So this all started At 0800, a neighbor reported that they saw Ryan's body hanging from the window. So as you can see here, the neighbor was walking, saw Ryan hanging, and then he calls the police, and then he notifies the parents, who then when they cut Ryan down, they're unable to hold on to him, and they actually drop him to the ground. So this is just a quick sanitized version of the 911 radio call. This is audio.
Is this 911?
Yes, this is 911. What are you reporting?
Yeah, I got a person that hangs himself, 7156 Via Maria.
Okay, and this is 7156
Could I try, holy
Who's this person?
Via Maria, San Jose, California.
I understand. Who is this person?
It's a neighbor, Aiden.
Okay.
Aiden Blast.
Okay. Listen to me. I have your phone number of 408-582-4161. Is that correct?
Should we try to get him off of the roof?
Listen to me. I'm going to get you over to the fire department. They're going to give you further instructions, okay?
So PD, next slide. So PD was called, FD was called, and at the residence was the father, the mother, and the younger brother. Next slide. So the father said everything seemed normal. Ryan had no issues in school. Mom said the same thing. The brother said he seems fine. The only thing that the brother noted was when he got up in the middle of the night around midnight, he saw that Ryan's light was still on in his bedroom. And he thought that was weird because Ryan usually goes to bed pretty early at night, but he didn't do anything about it that night. So in Ryan's room, they found a suicide note. Homicide detectives found a suicide note. And a very big part of the suicide note is that you can see it's underlined, says he's been blackmailed. It's kind of hard to read, but the big part said he'd been blackmailed. So then homicide detectives reached out to the ICAC unit because it seemed like it had an internet nexus. Next slide. And so what the investigators did is they started going through all the evidence they could find. So they started going to his Google chats, and in his Google chats, they found a chat between Ryan and an unknown individual. And this one, the chat had asked if Ryan could send some pictures of his genitals. He agrees, sends the photo, and then like these typical, the male victims, it was instantly went from a flirting relationship to an extorting relationship. The suspect demanded $5,000. Ryan said, I can't pay $5,000. Next slide. They keep going back and forth about the money. The suspect then transitions and said, hey, my sister is now, not only do I have your photo of you, but my sister's also gravely ill, and I need the money for her. Ryan was distraught and said, I feel bad for your sister, but I still don't have the money. And then in the messages, they realized that there's something weird about the way he was talking, is he was speaking in a way that it wasn't typical of how we would communicate in English. So he would say in one of the messages, he said, I will send to all U.S. residents $500 with the dollar on the back, on the end of the numbers. So they thought, okay, maybe there's some international nexus here. So Ryan was very scared. He kept repeatedly saying, I can't do it. I don't have money. I'm sorry that your sister is sick. Next slide. The suspect then, Ryan then sends money. They agreed it down to about $150. Ryan then sells the guy some money. And then he demands even more money, or he'll expose Ryan on Instagram, and he'll make a collage of all of his photos, his social media and stuff. And he sent that to Ryan and said, "This is everything I got, and I'll send it to everybody you know." So from about 12:30 is when they assumed that this started. 12:30 to about 1:45. That's when the last text from Ryan comes out, pleading him not to ruin his life. And then this is when they believe that Ryan killed himself. Next slide. So the detectives had to write warrants to everybody. So the suspect's email account came back, was this Emily Smith 12, and it came back to a Jonathan Casey who was residing in California. The Zelle account also came back to Jonathan Casey who resides in Los Angeles. And then the Western Union, where the transfer went to, came back to Jonathan Casey as well. And in Ryan, when he sent the money to Jonathan Casey, addressed it to blackmailer. He said $150 to the blackmailer. Next slide. And so as my partner talked about as money mules, this is a picture of the money mule that Ryan was involved in. The arrows down here, that is the black arrow that you guys see on the screen. That's Jonathan Casey. So he was just one node of an international network that returned to Nigeria is where the bigger nodes came from. Next slide. So the problem that they had up there was we have a dead teen. We have a suspect who lives in LA. How are we going to handle this? So they reached out to the LA ICAC because we're all coordinated together. We worked together, and we ended up serving a warrant against Casey's house. He was not at the house at that time. He had fled, and unfortunately, he actually had an identical brother who looked identical to Jonathan Casey. Later on, we were able to locate Jonathan Casey, take him into custody, and our biggest fear was that he was going to destroy the evidence. He already knew we were there. He's going to wipe everything on his phone. Next slide. Just want to make sure it's not here. Okay, so yeah. So we did the residential. So this is, mom says he doesn't live there. Everyone's uncooperative. They found a laptop in the closet that they said, that they figured out later date that it was going to be Jonathan's. Next slide. There's Jonathan Casey. And all his priors that he had was trespassing, vehicle theft, and DUI. Nothing really critical, nothing that would make it seem like he'd be involved in something like this. Next slide. So they reached out to us. We were finally able to take, that's Jonathan Casey being taken into custody. Next slide. And in his phone, there were all the messages with Ryan. He didn't delete a single thing. We had the wire transactions. We had everything in there. And so because he was the money mule and not the chatter, he was ultimately sentenced to charged with 1 count of felony extortion, and then he got 18 months of time served. 3 years, he served 18 months, he's out. He's back out right now. Next slide. This is a photo of Ryan in front of the UCI Irvine when he went to visit school when he committed. Next slide.
They sent James 200 messages in 19 and a half hours. 200 messages saying you're nothing, you're hopeless, will make your life a living hell. You might as well end it now. Where's our money?
They immediately went to, we're going to destroy your life is over, everybody you love is going to disown you. The mountain was built immediately in front of Walker. They were continually saying, we need the money, this will stop if you get us the money. I don't have any money is what Walker's telling them. I live in the country, I live in the middle of nowhere, just leave me alone, please. After that response with, I'm just gonna kill myself. And just as heartless as you can imagine, they said, well, go ahead because you're already dead anyway.
It's an absolute tragedy that 3 men from the other side of our planet came into my home, which was secure while I was sleeping, and murdered my son. There is nothing we can do about it.
We have been urging parents to have conversations with their children that this act of sextortion is out there.
So this was when, this photo here is when my lieutenant and one of our supervisors actually got to meet Ryan's mom when they went and visited NECMEC early this year. So the whole point of this conversation, guys, is it's not to make you depressed or make you sad, but it's make you realize that there is an issue out there and there's something that we have to be proactive about. That there's no more where we can just sit inside our homes, lock our doors, and assume that our kids are safe. So after my talk here, we're going to have people come up and we're going to show you proactive ways that you guys can engage your children and tools you guys can use to make sure your children are safe online. One thing I'd like to end the story with Ryan, though, a lot of these guys that are overseas, unfortunately, we can't capture them and we can't take them into custody for what they've done. But next slide. In the case of Ryan's, 4 people were arrested specifically for Ryan's suicide in Ivory Coast, and they were brought back to the United States who will face time for what they did to Ryan. That's it. Oh, one more.
Thank you. Remember, I said earlier, once you leave here, we'll give you something so you will know a little more. This is what I was talking about. So when this slide comes up, I always say, I hope you will never have to use it. I hope you'll never have to use it. But in the event, please take a picture. So if you hear somebody saying, this happened to me, you now know where to go, what resources are out there to get some help. This is called Take It Down. In that, if a minor posts something on the web, there is a way to take that images down where that image doesn't have to keep going across the internet. And again, I'm repeating myself, I hope you never have to use it, but in the event, you know where to go and what to do. Next slide, please.
Losing control of your nude images online is terrifying. And if you're a teen, it may feel impossible to reverse it. Well, you can't go back in time and unsend. We can help you move forward.
Yes, guys, that's from NECMEC, Take It Down. And this last picture is a part of the team, and I trust you recognize someone in the picture. To my right, the third person from the end, Officer Dave Cox.
It's pretty sobering to hear that, isn't it? It's pretty sobering. So just take a deep breath for a second. It's very... the thought that there's international criminal networks actively pursuing your kids and are currently, as we sit here, talking to kids around the world, entrapping them, just like you heard Ryan's story, it's happening right now, as we sit here. Have you ever heard that phrase, the thin blue line? There's, with that many tips coming in, it's a thin line of law enforcement standing between predators and the kids. That's why they could never do this alone, but give them a hand for being out there all the time. It's not a law enforcement issue alone. They'll do what they can, but that's where we all come in, right? We all have to do a part of it. And here's the good news. You're not powerless. There are things you can actively do that are very practical. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be a technology expert. You just need to, even from tonight, if you grab just a couple of things from tonight and begin to apply it, you're moving ahead. You're not moving backwards. So we don't want to overwhelm you, but we want to give you as much resource as possible. I want to talk a little bit about the role of a parent or a caregiver. I can't overestimate the importance of you and that role. If you're a parent in a kid's life, that role is so important. And I have to just say this, they need you. At every age, they need you. Even as they get older, if you think they're not listening, if they roll their eyes when you talk to them, they need you. They need you. Even if they don't think they need you, deep down they actually do know. They need you. So if you want to, in your role, you've got to be present. What does that mean? You got to be emotionally present and physically present. They need both. They don't need you just in the room. They need you to be connected. You know, predators are savvy. They know, it's just like a predator on the savannah. They know how to spot the weakest, the injured, the vulnerable, and they'll go after it. These online predators are no different. They can spot a kid that looks any way disconnected, and they'll go after him. And they're effective. They know how to do it, and they do it really well. That's why one of the things I like to share is a connected child, emotionally and physically connected child, is a protected child. So connect with your kids or your grandkids, because they do need you. And people say, is it quality time or quantity time? It's both. They need both. So be intentional. They just need to help figure out this part of their life too. It's a digital age. They need some guidance and they need a model. So real quick, here's 3 quick tips that I'll start with. First is be quick to talk. Start conversations early. Be honest, but avoid scare tactics. You know, kids can handle the truth, but not constant panic. Be unshockable. This is an important one. If you have a little coming up to you and they ask something like, whoa, where'd they hear that? Just say, I'm so glad you asked. If it's an older kid and they start telling you how deep they got into something, you better be unshockable. If they can't come to you and open up about it, they may have nobody else. The fact that they're willing to share it to you, I'm telling you, they probably weighed that. That is a critical moment. Be unshockable. They need to know that no matter what has happened, you will not abandon them, you will walk with them, and you'll help them figure it out. There's no way that they can have the weight of a criminal organization on their back alone. That's obviously a far extreme, but they need you. So I would just really emphasize that. Just be unshockable. Last time we did one of these trainings, we had parents asking, could you give us some examples? I don't even know how to have those conversations. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. I mean, you know your kids. You'll figure out how to do this. This is just a way to at least think through, how do you even start conversations like this? Do you know that you can start them before the kids are 10 years old? Age appropriate. So here's some simple things. God made your body special. You know, you're in a church here. You probably teach them that. But some parts of your body are private. So if your swimming suit covers it, nobody's supposed to be touching that, right? Somebody's asking to touch that, you let us know. You're in charge of who touches you. You know, you can teach your little kids, 3 to 5 years old, if an adult approaches them and they want to give them a hug, come sit on my lap, they want to start tickling them, just teach them it's okay. Say, no, thank you. You can empower your kids that little just to start understanding that they can have a choice in that. Tricky people aren't always strangers. You know how often we teach stranger danger, right? Which is wise, but guess what? Some of the dangers are not strangers, and they know them. So you got to just say, you know, most people are safe, but some people, even ones you know, may ask you to do something that feels uncomfortable. You always tell us. You'll never be in trouble for that. Let me jump to this one. Not everything online is safe or true. You know, it could be scary, gross. Do you know that they have ads out there that target kids, and it's going to open up to pornographic images and sites, but they're targeting kids? There's traps. The internet was never made for safety. It's made for information. And people with bad intention will utilize it and exploit it. And they do. So just, you got to let them know that. You can always speak up. It's safe. We've talked about that. No one should ever ask for pictures of you. If they're online playing a game and someone's asking for a photo, even in a fun way, no way. You just don't do it. You know, if you're under 10 years old, you don't need to have any part of that. Even if they say it's a joke or it's a dare, it's a secret. Here's one. You can say no to secrets even from adults. No one should be telling you to keep secrets from your parents. And you're like, well, what about a surprise party? Yeah, surprises. That means they're not keeping it secret. They're telling them a little bit. You obviously can talk about it. There's a difference between secrets and a surprise party. But that's a common tactic. Let's talk about what you watch and play. You know, you got to be involved. That device that they get to use is not their device. They get to use that device. You know, in our house, we waited to give my son a phone till he was older. We waited longer than most parents. Don't fall to peer pressure. Even when he got it, he had to demonstrate certain responsibilities before he could get it, and he knows that phone is not private. So my wife can see my phone. I can see her phone. We don't hide it from each other. In our house, we could see your phone too, and sometimes we'll check it. Not because we don't trust you, but it keeps everybody safe. We want to make sure you're staying safe too. So that was just the agreement before it even started. But even apart from that, just talk about what they watch or play. Let me jump in. What about conversations before they're 16? So let's say those are some ones for littles. Before 16, this is key. Your identity is not your screen. They're challenged with likes and comments. That's the world they're growing up in. It's overwhelming. That doesn't define their identity. You just let them know you've got all the love. You don't have to search for love. We love you. You're secure. They need to feel that. If they don't feel that at home, they're going to look for it somewhere else. What you post or allowed to be video lives, quote, forever. As you know, there's a take it down source now, thank God. So we can go after that stuff, and it can be taken down. But it's not even just they're going after pornographic things, but sometimes kids are doing jokes, inappropriate things, and friends want to videotape that. Teach your kids. Would your grandma want to see that? Would your future employer want to see that, or your future spouse? Think about it. Let's talk about pornography and real love. When you talk about that topic, porn is fake, and it trains your brain to see people as objects and love as performance. So it's meant to be a trap that pulls you in. So at least start that conversation with your kids. Sexting and nudes, if they really cared, they really wouldn't ask, right? Let them know that. Have that conversation. Online predators don't look like monsters. And you're going to hear more from some of these teams. Some of these people who groom, it's not always the opposite sex. It can be very unsuspecting people that are grooming your kids. So you got to be aware of that. Everyone struggles sometimes, and you're not alone. So just let them know whatever they're going through, they can come to you. Is that helpful? Just some real basic, simple pieces. We could talk about that for hours, but it's just to give you some language or verbiage. You know your kids, you'll have some great language to figure it out, but at least that's a start. Another piece to consider in this, there's real practical steps that we would encourage everybody to take. I mean, especially if you've got kids and you're trying to figure this out when you give a phone and what do you do? If you can remember ABC, you can take some great steps. The A is agreement. So you really are just saying, I want to put forth a digital contract. We're going to have an agreement in the house. Here's what we're doing with our phones. We have a sample digital contract, and you can fill in your specifics on it through Zoe. You can download it on the website, stop by the resource table at the end, and it'll get you started. Because you have to come up with a lot of decisions as a parent. Are you going to let them have a phone in their room? Is a computer going in the room? Is that iPad going in the room? That was a rule for us, and let me just tell you, it's one of the best things I think we've ever done. It's like, hey, screens are not in private places, just be in public. And because your little kids, they're not designed just to be wandering around and have free access to internet like that. So be aware of that. But I would say just start with an agreement. There's a lot we could talk about on that, but I'd say grab that contract and take a look at it. And also, we don't do secret passwords here. So our family, we have to know if it's your child's device, that you have to be able to know their passwords. That's part of the agreement. If they want to be able to use it, here's the agreements that go down. So start with agreements. Second thing is boundaries. Do you know that only 39% of parents use parental controls to block or filter? That's according to Pew Research. They did a study on it. But here's reality. How many of us really know how to do that? It's a little overwhelming, right? So we just from feedback we've gotten from this too, Zoe, we have put together a Zoe tech squad that will actually help you with it. So I'd like to pull, just see if Howard could come up to the stage. He leads our tech squad, and he's going to give you some real practical steps. So would you welcome Howard?
All right, thank you so much. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Dave, for introducing me. Thank you so much, LAPD and ICAC, for coming up. I just wanted to make this super practical for you guys, right? Internet safety is for all of us. It's not just for children. It's for adults. It's for people that are, tech gurus, I guess someone like myself, down to your grandmas and grandpas, right? And so I really want to emphasize internet safety, and having a protocol, having boundaries, and having conversations with your children is the best way to combat exploitation, CSAM, and really protecting your kids online, right? Internet safety is a shared responsibility. So many of you guys here in the audience are probably parents, and you guys play a vital role in monitoring and setting boundaries, and honestly, using parental controls. Parental controls are not just, you log into your Verizon or your Spectrum and you set up router settings to prevent, children from browsing or accidentally stumbling upon, pornographic material or CSAM. But it's also having conversations. It's all about, letting your child know that, hey, we're there for you, we want to protect you, and we want to sit down with you to talk about technology. And so as much as I encourage you guys to do that, I would like to do that with you guys here tonight, right? So just a quick walkthrough to give you a little bit of what the tech squad here at Zoe is all about is to provide a resource. Who here by a show of hands knows what Geek Squad at Best Buy is? Probably most of you, right? So we have a Zoe version of that. That's Zoe Tech Squad, right? We're here to help you set up your phone, set up screen time controls, parental controls, app limits, what sort of apps that you allow or do not allow your children to have. And we really want to be that resource for you guys so you guys are protected on the internet, and that your children can stay safe, right? So really, by a show of hands, if you guys are parents, how many of you guys have children under 18 that have cell phones? Keep your hands up if it's 16 and under. 14, 10. Well, that's very good, actually. Unfortunately, I got my first cell phone at 12. I wish I got it later. But fret not, technology is always advancing, it's always improving. So there are ways to keep your phones safe, right? If you guys are iPhone users, which I reckon are most of you guys can actually go on your settings and you hit settings, you scroll down to screen time, and you turn on screen time so that swipe it so it turns green, and then you hit continue. It opens a new prompt. So follow those prompts. It's very clear. 5 things that you can set to really protect your child's device. So you want to sit down with your children to do that. One is to set downtime, right? I personally wouldn't like if my nephews and nieces were able to access their phones past 7 p.m. So after 7 p.m., it's dinner time. They're sitting down. They're finishing homework if they're older, but they should be spending time with family. They shouldn't be on the apps. They shouldn't be looking at TikTok. We don't even allow TikTok in our family, right? App limits. Setting app limits. Number 2, right? What kind of apps they can or cannot access. That is so vital. We learned earlier from ICAC, we're seeing direct messages from Google, from Instagram, TikTok. These are the platforms that predators are using to gain access into your child's bedroom. So set app limits and protect your home. Number 3, set a screen time passcode, right? If it exceeds a specific time on the screen, there's gonna be a passcode that only the parents, only trusted adults, only safe people know. So when it's time for their phones to be put away, when it's time to go to bed, when it's time to brush your teeth, that thing's gonna pop up and hey son, hey child's iPhone, you've used up all 1 hour of your allotted time for your cell phone today. Please set this password if you want to continue. At that point, I would go have my nieces and nephews walk up to me or their parents and say, hey, I'm done with my phone now. I'd like to go to bed. right? And so those are some practical things that you can do, right? So the tech squad, we will help you set all that up. We also have pamphlets to walk you through step by step on how to set up these protocols and safety features on your devices. We also have pamphlets on Roblox. I'm gonna be here up all night if you guys let me to talk about Roblox, but I'm not gonna get into that tonight. But we also have a pamphlet for that as well. Gaming consoles and gaming platforms are another new emerging and pervasive way that children are encountering exploits or CSAM or would-be criminals, right? And so please find us outside this training. We're outside the double tents. They're kind of glued together. Myself, as well as a crew of our wonderful, wonderful Zoe Tech Squad volunteers, will be happy to help you guys out. So please visit us. Once again, thank you so much, all of you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Howard. Yeah, please see Howard and his whole team that's going to be out there. If you didn't even follow a thing that he's saying, don't worry, they'll help you out. It's going to be great. So again, agreements, boundaries, and there's so many resources. Can you put the slide up that shows the resources? There's a QR code. If you want to grab those resources, there'll be a download. You could just scan that, and it's going to give you a bunch of downloads tonight. So there it is. Take a picture of that or whatever if you want to grab that. So with that, I would just say, if you can do the agreements, boundaries, the last thing I'll just say is regular check-ins. It's not just one conversation. You're regularly doing this, so just know it's ongoing conversations. While you're driving, while you're walking, as it comes up, you don't need to make these big, heavy, long conversations. Just bring it up periodically, and it keeps that door open. So before we transition, I want you to hear from a panel. We're going to do a panel discussion with some of the top questions that we tend to get asked, and you're going to hear from our frontline officers responding to that. Before we do it, we have a treat here tonight too. There's divisions within LAPD that focus specifically on human trafficking and rescuing victims out of human trafficking and going after the bad guys or the buyers. So they do fantastic work. So without further ado, I think we've got Officer Garcia and Officer Crum coming up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having us. My partner and I, we really work in the Valley, and we handle all the human trafficking cases out there, and our focus is obviously boots on the ground, being out on the street, and just interacting with as many people as possible. So my partner and I do speak a lot to other officers and train them and stuff, so we're going to give you a few tools and tips and stuff tonight. I want to start off with a case study that we had about a year ago. It was our youngest case. It was with a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old. The parents were going through a separation, and during that separation, the mother was really apprehensive of the father's intentions. The 9-year-old actually had a prior abuse case with the father's cousin, so she wanted to give her kids the necessary tools to kind of protect themselves if need be. The father had visitation over the weekends, and then slowly he wanted to start seeing the kids individually during the week. That kind of perked the instincts of the mother, and she told her kids, if anything fishy kind of happens with the father, she really wants them to be able to record the conversation. Long and behold, the 13-year-old had a meeting with the father, pick up during the week. And during that conversation with the father was trying to basically procure the child to sell her virginity for about $3,000. When the child refused to do so, the father then tries to give the child other alternatives, other sexual acts that she will be more comfortable with in order to basically get money out of her. The daughter actually recorded that conversation. Before the daughter was able to get that conversation to the mother, the father actually had a meeting with the 9-year-old. With the meeting with the 9-year-old, again, it was a visitation during the week, which was abnormal. He ended up basically trying to get her to take pictures and sell her body online, pretty much. That child didn't record the conversation, but due to the 13-year-old and they're both of them being victims, Mother immediately was notified of this. Mother came into the station, gave us all the information, and we were able to make the arrest before any of these children were actually physical victims of human trafficking. But he's away for a long time. Well, he's currently in jail, and hopefully he'll be away for a long time. But it was a great case that we worked in, a great situation to where, based off the mother's intuition and her proactive behavior, was able to really prevent anything worse from happening to those children.
Slide, please. As Dave was saying, we work the Valley Human Trafficking Task Force for LAPD, just right south of here. Matt and I, Officer Crump and I, have been working this for approximately 3 years. We've been partners, and we do some amazing work. We have our supervisor here who's also an expert in human trafficking. Next slide, please. Within human trafficking, as ICAC and David Cox has talked about, is commercial sexual exploitation of children. And as young as 10 years old, as Matt said, we've had the youngest as of 11, some as young as 18 months old, as ICAC has stated earlier. And it's for the forcing exploitation of themselves and their body. Next slide, please.
So some of the red flags, the biggest one, obviously, individuals trying to groom and coerce a child. Usually approach the child on social media. A lot of the work we do is on social media. We see a lot of, our biggest thing is Instagram, and younger generations, a lot of TikTok as well. But obviously, like the grooming tactics that these predators traffickers use, really focus on trying to fill a need for the child, right? So the child has some sort of need, whether it's a boyfriend, father figure, girlfriend. They try to act like that person to get them to be trusted, right? And then once they kind of feel that need, they then begin to maintain control. So a lot of the street level stuff that we do deals with like street prostitution. So that could be in forms of branding, which would be actually like physically burning initials into the girl's skin, or tattooing the female. Any type of scare tactic that kind of helps maintain that control of that victim. And then ultimately, the last step of grooming is going to be the isolation. So like everyone's been saying throughout the night, right? People having connections to family, trusted family, community, friends that are important in their life will prevent that isolation. That isolation is that final like step to be like, you have nothing else but me as a trafficker, right? You have nothing else but I'm going to take care of you. And that's where that damage really comes, and that's where they're able to victimize their people over and over and over again. So obviously building those connections and bonds, reinforcing those bonds with your family are going to be one of those biggest ways to combat that isolation.
Just like Matt was saying, they give a false advertisement of what they're trying to do, what they're modeling for, and what they're trying to do to help our children. The biggest part is what Matt was saying was the grooming part. They try to reach out for kids who don't have family, don't have friends, are boys and girls who are lonesome, but also that it goes for kids who also have a great parents, great family, great friends, who are also there around them, giving them support. Because just like what ICAC and Zoe was saying, that you can have your house locked up, you can have everything closed, but that predator is right next to you and you have no idea. Developing a bond with the child is the quickest thing. Just like ICAC was saying, everybody wants to have a friend. I can have a friend. We also have people who are victims in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. But like what everyone was saying prior, is it starts at a very young age, and we do have to be there for the kids to help not have this happen for them. The biggest part of what, when we talk about human trafficking, is the glamorization of it. How many people have seen movies and heard music and they talk about pimping and prostitution and that's a cool thing? Raise your hand. Right? It comes off cool. These rap music videos, movies. You can go there, work a few hours, get your quick money. You don't have to work a 9 to 5. Be your own boss. Be your own person. But are you really your own boss? You're not. Sadly enough, with human trafficking, people such as our children are seen as artifacts. They're not seen as people. They're seen as a commodity, a means to an end. what we usually talk about is, such as, let's say, a dope dealer, a person who sells drugs. They have to go out there, buy the drug, go out and sell it. How many times do you think I can tell a person to go and sell their body? Multiple times a night. It happens over and over and over. So that's one of the biggest parts that we talk about with human trafficking.
So obviously, monitor your child's activities. You're able to protect them. I recently saw some stuff on social media where a family actually has the idea of, like, when we grew up, we had landlines. We didn't always have cell phones. So having a cell phone for your child, maybe in the kitchen area, and that phone only stays in the kitchen. If your child goes to sports, they're able to take that phone out and use that cell phone to obviously be able to communicate. But when they get home, that phone goes right back to the kitchen. So it's a home-based phone. It's not your phone. It's our phone that you're allowed to use on occasion. But being able to kind of monitor that type of activity would most likely kind of help in these situations. Make sure you're having the ability to look at their social media, become familiar with different, we're going to go over some emojis and stuff, but different contexts that your kids are talking and how they're talking now. I mean, I'm only 30 years old, but there's stuff that kids say now that I'm like, I don't even understand what's happening. So, use your resources. ChatGPT is great for that. You can Google it. There's a lot of different stuff you can do, but staying aware and being able to be an active member of your child's life is really critical in order to be productive in their safety, right? Meet with them, talk with them, have these open conversations. They're going to really benefit from that.
Know who their friends are. We oftentimes, we predominantly have female victims who we see. Every once in a while we get males, but predominantly with the street prostitution I deal with is victim females. How many of you females would be more willing to trust a female talking to you over a male? Right? Say, oh, okay, she's a girl. He must be a nice guy. Oh, she vouches for him. He's, treating her right, giving her the nice lifestyle. Oftentimes we, as parents and females in the United States, we often think that it's the males who are the predators. It's females as well. They are also considered a victim, but they're also the predators on behalf of the male traffickers to try and get more females and more male victims to get into this lifestyle. Yeah. So also know who your kids' friends are, because oftentimes too, with the TikTok and social media, it's glamorized. Kids don't want to work 9 to 5. They want that quick money and they want to spend it.
Next slide, please. So these are the beginning parts of our emojis. Some of them are common ones, but obviously it's context, right? So if you're seeing these type of emojis and in a conversation that they maybe don't belong in, then you kind of want to pay attention to it, right? So we've all seen the zip lips. These are just indications, or these are going to be explanations of what they could possibly mean in the human trafficking world for us. A big one obviously is SOS. The running woman one I know a lot of people use, so that can indicate a type of escape route. So we just want to kind of have our ears perked or eyes perked up at these emojis so that you could kind of have a little more context to it. Next one, please. Everyone uses these obviously as far as like airplane emojis and stuff, but again, it's context. They can indicate moving and different type of trafficking stuff. So just kind of keep your eyes open for those ones as well.
Next slide. The most common ones are oftentimes that we see is the trophy sign, meaning trophy, pimp, money. There's a big one with the one here with the number 10 and the heel down. In our world, it means 10 toes down, which predominantly I always say, how many toes does someone have? You're supposed to have 10 toes. So that in the world of human trafficking, that means they have one female or one male victim that's working for that trafficker. So if they say I'm 20 toes down, they have 2 victims, and so on and so forth. So they even, when I listen to music now, because I've been doing this for a long time, but even still I get shocked. I listen to music today and hear, oh, I'm 10 toes down. You hear it in regular movies and shows. They may not know what this meaning is, but they're actually talking about the human trafficking and the victimization of sexually exploited children.
And they use it sometimes now too as like a loyalty thing as well. So But this one, obviously, dancing man and a dancing woman, you wouldn't think is a prostitute and a pimp. So those are just things to obviously kind of keep track of. And again, context, look at the whole picture. Next slide.
Same thing with just a mixture of the emojis. One other significant sign is the crown, king, a pimp. A pimp is supposed to be your savior, the person that you're supposed to be loyal to. And oftentimes you see the emojis, they'll put it next to their name too. That's that person that they're there and they're loyal to.
Anything with money and crowns really is a good to go kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not always bad, but within the context of it, of your kids' conversations, it's definitely something to pay attention to. If any of this happens to your children, we also do trainings. We predominantly teach law enforcement, but we also have had parents come to the station and they think something has happened to their child, and we actually do some education with the child. It didn't lead to any type of law enforcement action needed or type of report, but it doesn't help for us. We don't mind, especially because we do work in plainclothes such as this. We do have that relationship with children to where sometimes if it's a uniformed personnel, they see more of an authority figure. So we do talk to kids too if any parent needs to come out and have their kids talk to and have a little bit of a lesson of what's going on.
And we'll stick around afterwards too if you guys want to come up to us and have a little more detailed conversation. We're used to giving like 4-hour presentations, so we're already over time, so we're going to leave it there. But thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much. We're going to now go into a panel time, so if the lieutenant can come on up, Sergeant Persekin is going to come on up, and Officer Garcia, and Pastor Mauricio. Well, let's start with this. We're going to start with you, Pastor.
Okay.
So we've had all this conversation. You've got a community. You touch a lot of people. You talk to a lot of people. What are you seeing? How's this? Anything related to this surfacing?
Absolutely. Actually, you know what? We've been promoting this now for, I don't know, maybe a month and a half. And 2 weekends ago, I had a young lady, teenager, 17 years old, approached me after like the third service and beelined me and said, you know, Pastor, thank you so much for doing this. I am actually a victim of what you're sharing about. And I want you to understand that they're like, aren't you guys so thankful that we have all these wonderful people here today? Are they amazing or what? I mean, just the information, it's just incredible. Thank you guys. Thank you, Dave, for helping me put this together. But it doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're in church, whether you're at school, whether, you know, your kids have a whole group of friends in a community. This is happening everywhere, and it is something that's becoming more normalized even within the young community of these children. And, you know, for me as parents, my wife and I, we have 2 grown adult children, a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old, but we didn't give them a phone till they were 15 years old. And one of the things I want to share with parents is all the information you heard tonight, like these are things that we did like years ago before the internet is what it is today. And we would have instead of making everything negative, because when you listen to this, you can go back home as a mom, a dad, a grandpa, parent, a teacher, and you can just present this information with fear. But fear breeds secrecy, and trust breeds freedom. And so we always told our children, every Monday we had family fun night, but it was family fun night with conversation. And we would talk about sexual abuse. We would, because you know what? The predators most often are, and now of course online, so much, it's like, that's like the new norm, but it's normally family members, close friends. That's what we've seen in church. And we actually dealt with a situation years ago where we had a child approach us that attended our church about a family member that didn't attend Elevate Church that we had to get law enforcement involved with, and then counselors and the whole thing. But I just encourage you, parents. I know we got so much great information, but if you can just start your kids young and pick one weeknight and talk about everything. I know Dave talked about the whole parts. Like we talked about my daughter's private parts, my son's private parts, and you know, it's their body, and we use similar verbiage like what we heard tonight. But I would say start it, and don't just don't just do it when they're young and they're adolescents, like all the way through college. Like this happens in college, especially the sexting. Like that's so normal now. And it's something that you really have to talk about. But you have to create that bridge of trust. Your kids need to know that there's no shame in the game. Like you guys can talk and not make them feel like they're ashamed. If you made a big mistake, we would always tell our kids, if you messed up and it's horrible, we love you. We're not gonna, hit you over the head for making that poor decision. Speak to us freely. We'll figure it out together. It's gonna be all right.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Parsekian, maybe you can introduce yourself. And in a moment, I'd like to really talk about grooming because some of this behavior is groomed online. We heard from ICAC. With girls, they could do this for months. But it'd be great to hear from some of our frontline experts about that. But if you could introduce yourself and you could reflect on anything you've heard tonight, sir. And then if you want to even address the grooming aspect as well, too, I would like to have you guys speak to that.
For sure. Hi, everybody. Sergeant Parsekian. I'm the officer in charge of Human Trafficking Task Force, Operations Valley Bureau. I've been doing this since 2011, 2012, and in 2015 is where the department actually set up this task force, where we stopped basically going after and arresting the females because we started looking at them as victims, in which they are victims, and it's the first time where we decided actually to go after the traffickers, and this is what my unit, these officers do. Heather and Matt are great at what they do. I have additional officers, a detective that do that. The grooming aspect that you talked about, I've seen it. It basically, we in a pimping, human trafficking world, we have two kinds of pimps that we refer to. We have the Romeo pimp, and then we have the gorilla pimp. And I've come across all of them. The Romeo pimp is the one that's gonna reach out to the females, pretend like he's interested, want to be their boyfriend. It's gonna evolve into a relationship, and they're gonna build that trust, that love, and then all of a sudden it's going to come to a point where, hey, we're out of money, I can't take you to Vegas anymore, I need you to do this, and I have a friend who does this, she'll show you how to do it. It kind of starts like that. It's the grooming aspect of it. I go out and I teach other law enforcement agencies, and I take a victim with me. She's great. She actually came from a real solid household, mother and father at home. She fell in love with this guy who reached out to her. He was a college baseball player. She basically goes on to say how she fell in love with him, and in her mind she had already decided this is the guy that she was going to marry. This is the guy she was going to have that beautiful house with the white picket fence and 3 kids and all this stuff. And all of a sudden he gets hurt in college. He can't play anymore. He's at home, and then he starts telling her, look, we don't have any money, I can't pay the rent. And I have a friend, and she does this, and can you get into it and basically get us some money? And she's like, I thought if I don't do it, there goes my whole world. There goes my whole marriage, my kids, my house. So that's how she got into it, until her father figured out what she was doing, and then she reached out, and then we ended up rescuing her. And now she comes out and talks about her experience. Other parts is, there was when we say a gorilla pimp, they're harsh, very violent pimps where they'll just stop, grab the females off the street, kidnap them, take them home. I had a pimp that had 3 girls. We rescued all 3 females. Every night he would strip them naked, check to see if they weren't hiding any money. He would actually put raw beans on the floor of the bathroom, make them crawl while he beat them, and then he would actually shave their head. So this is something that they do to beat them down all the time, so they have nowhere to go. And a great analogy is like my mentor, my boss, who retired, and I learned everything from him. He has a story that when he teaches, he says, he reaches out to the crowd and says, any military people here? Any law enforcement or any military here? No military? Okay, there you go, sir. Let's say you're walking down the street, middle of the night. Do you have a dog? You're walking your dog, okay? You happen to pass by an alley where you take that alley every night you go down, and that's your route for your dog to walk. You see 4 gang members standing there. You can clearly tell they're gang members, dressed like gang members, tatted up. Are you going through them, or you're changing your route? Somebody who has military experience, who knows how to use a gun, can fight, and all this stuff is going to change their direction and take a different route and not go through. So when the question comes is, when a 14-year-old would say, why don't they just leave? Why don't they just call the police? Because these guys have a hold on them. If a person like that is scared to walk just past them, what does a 14-year-old do when they're actually embedded with them and they control everything, their phone, their movements, everything like that? How are they going to leave? So sometimes when they come across us, we've had it where they just break down. And then at some points where we're sitting in an interview room for 3 hours convincing a young female that that's not your boyfriend. He doesn't love you. If he's putting you out there every single night for 10 men to sleep with you, he doesn't love you. I would never do that to my wife or girlfriend or anything like that. So why would you think that this person actually loves you? Until we get that into their head, we have to re-brainwash them into their victims until they come forward and they basically say everything that we need in order to rescue them and pull that trafficker away from them.
It's eye-opening, right? This is happening in the streets of Los Angeles. So it's real. This is not theory. These are things that are actually going on. Let's talk about apps. And what should parents be aware of? What apps would you be most concerned about? If you had a kid, what apps would you not want them to be using? Or if they were, you'd have to be completely overseeing it.
Right now, what we use in our unit is Instagram is one of the most prolific apps that kids are using nowadays. Snapchat has become more popular throughout the years. If some parents don't know what Snapchat is, it's an app on the phone where it's messaging, pictures. You have filters you can use to send funny photos. You can alter yourself. There's also stuff on there where myself, who's in my 30s, I can make myself look like a child through the app. Also, the messages vanish after 24 hours. So you can be messaging certain things, sending messages back and forth explicitly, and those will vanish after a while. So that's one of the biggest apps now, as well as, like I said, Instagram. So within our unit, we use Instagram every day. I pose also as a commercial sex worker, and so does my partner, to pose as one of those victims, to where we also have the trafficker try and procure us to work as their prostitute. So that's another way we're trying to combat that within LAPD to help these young children, because oftentimes when we post as a commercial sex worker, I'm out there actually on the street. I physically go out there. I'm talking to these real girls as if I'm just like them. They'll introduce me to their pimp. I'll meet them. We set up meetups, and we arrest these traffickers. And oftentimes they do have another victim with them who is either 18 or older or sometimes younger. Oftentimes they will also have their female workers who are essentially the victim as well, but they have them out there so myself can become entrusted with those male traffickers. I had a female one time from San Diego procure me. She was 22 years old. We had just talked for a little bit of time, and she said, yeah, I'll come up and pick you up. And we actually met up, and she tried to traffic me. There's also, not only through online, but even there's also men, not only that they're out on the streets, but there are men actually also in prison and in jail. I had a conversation with a male who was in Texas who was in prison, and I talked to him for a year until he got out of prison. He actually came over all the way to California to come and traffic me to work for him. Oftentimes these traffickers that we deal with are prolific traffickers. It's not their first time. We do have what we call the wannabe pimps, the boyfriends that are trying to get into this lifestyle, but it's everywhere on social media. Instagram, TikTok. TikTok's a huge one. Like my partner was saying, sometimes the way kids nowadays are talking or using apps, we are trying to actively learn just as if we're a teenager again. It's been a little bit of time, but we're trying to be teenager-like. And I actually talked to my niece. We talked to our family and friends. what are you guys saying nowadays? Because half the verbiage I don't understand, or there's new emojis. Something means something new every single day. I know ICAC, there's some other apps that you guys use. I believe you use Kik and some other apps,
yes,
right?
In addition to what you said, Heather, Dave, what we see, I'll just add on with the gaming apps. We see a lot of gaming apps, and what we say, for example, Roblox. Roblox by itself is not necessarily bad, is not bad, but we have, Roblox is a gaming platform in a community where lots of kids are playing and sharing different games on Roblox. The problem comes in when you have that bad guy in that same forum monitoring everything, and then they try to isolate an individual to take them on a platform, for example, Instagram or Snapchat, for that one-on-one time. That is a no-no. So in combination of what everybody has said so far, as parents, we want you to monitor the kids, monitor the apps they're on. Again, we're not saying that they should not be on the app, but have some screen time. Something where, no, you can't be in your room all by yourself playing this game. In the dining area where everyone is, yes, you're allowed to do that. But like you mentioned earlier, Dave, the isolation, yes. If someone is trying to isolate you from your family, big clue that something is possibly not going on the right track. So again, the gaming apps by themselves, no, we're not saying they're bad, but they just need some monitoring and some moderation from you, the parent, to say, whatever you say the time limits are or the guardrails are, yes, we need to set those guardrails.
I think also, one more comment, I think also within the apps too is, I tell my niece, I have you on Instagram. What you post, is it something that I would want to see, what your mom would want to see? Also, it's not just posting pictures, it's having a public or private profile. Are you monitoring who your friends are? Do you know, Mr. Z, is that somebody that's a friend, or is that a spoof account that you don't know who that is? Hashtags. Predators often use hashtags that are on social media to find these individuals. Hashtag lonely, hashtag this, hashtag that. There are so many different ways that these predators are finding our children that I still get mind boggled every single day exactly how easily someone can be found, even through social media. And like we tell our children, you post a picture, it's there forever, right? Now, fortunately, we have ways to take that down. But pictures can be screenshotted. So I know now some social media apps, if you do get screenshotted, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Actually, it notifies that person, the person attempting to screenshot your photo. And then just knowing exactly who you're talking to. Is this exactly who this person is? There's ways to verify, and just like we've been saying the whole night, conversation, be an active listener, and be open to your children.
Yeah. Our time is running short, but I want to just share one thing with you. Like, how fast can this happen? I'm going to have Officer Powers come on up here. And what I asked him to do is if he could post online today, he'll share exactly what he's done as a child. And can you give us a report what's happened?
So Dave wanted me to post to see how quickly I can get predators to come after me. So I posted on 2 different locations. I posted on Craigslist. I posted this morning at 8 a.m. And my post was, I said that I was bored. It was titled "Bored in LA," and I just said school just started and I'm bored and looking for friends. After I did that, my post so these are all, and you can see the screen? Yeah. So all these messages, these are all emails I got from 8 a.m. this morning from adults in Los Angeles. I received 25 emails. After I told them I was a 13-year-old girl, 15 of them still kept talking with me, and I've had 5 people now send me explicit images and wish to meet. Another app I reached out on was Kik, and all I did with Kik was just join public groups that connect to the city of LA. From that, I've had 7 males reach out to me, all knowing my age, and all of them are still communicating and all of a sudden having explicit conversations. And that is less than 12 hours. And that is without me sending images. So a lot of our girls and a lot of our kids, when they start, all these guys want images of me, and obviously we can't send those images, but once a kid starts sending those images, the numbers are going to skyrocket. So this is me with guardrails, with all these different guardrails so I don't entrap individuals, and that's still the numbers I can get in 12 hours.
Give him a hand for doing that. So you have to really think about it. Do you really want, especially if they're younger than 16 or 14, can they really navigate social media in that? You got to really make that decision as a parent. They are out there and they're actively pursuing your kids. So since we're running out of time, I'm going to give you guys, you can each have like 15 to 30 seconds. And I just would say, what would you say to parents and caregivers? It could be everything. You know, some people are like, I really messed this thing up. I really messed this up. I don't even know what to do now. Or just last piece of advice to encourage, or something that hasn't been spoken, but you think this would actually be helpful. I'd like to just share this. So, Pastor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I would say parents, you know, if you feel like, man, I heard all this information, I'm a horrible parent. Like, listen, here's the reality. That's why I'm glad that we're able to do this, to educate all of us. But if you haven't really been focusing on having these type of conversations with your child, start now. And here's what you do. You get with your child and don't just tell them everything you learned, because they're not going to get what you just said. They're going to think you're crazy. But you want to start by owning your mistake. And you tell them, you know what, for example, my son and daughter, their name is Isaac. I would say, Isaac, Alexis, I want to have a conversation with you. I want you to please forgive me for something I'm going to talk to you about. I haven't done a real good job as a father in having this open conversation regarding social media. And I'm just going to start slowly, and please forgive me. It was my mistake for not really being involved in your tech world, your technology world, your social media world, and just start with a soft conversation, and then maybe start creating a weekly conversation where if you've instilled fear on them, apologize, own it, and tell them, I am so sorry for just being this fearful mother, fearful father that is scared of the world, and I want to start having open dialogue with you. And that's it, just start like that. That's my real quick 30 seconds.
Good work.
Thanks.
That's a pastor 30 seconds.
I know that was
That's
tough.
a pastor 30 second.
We'll see you Sunday.
All right, someone else? Go ahead.
I would
Heather.
say, thinking of myself, if I was a kid today, I would want my parents to be an active listener, but also parents understand that maybe you may not be the person that they want to talk to. So also have a family member, a brother or sister that you know is a trusted person, and that your son or daughter can actually go and talk to. I tell my niece all the time, your mom and I are close, but if you tell me something in confidence, I won't tell her. Of course, if it goes to seriousness, then of course her mother will find out. But have the open line of communication with your kids, and have another source that they can trust, because sometimes it is scary to talk to your parents, and just have somebody there that they can talk to as well. So it kind of breaks that barrier with the authority figure. They can say, okay, I have somebody here. Here's my mediator. Here's somebody else that understands me. And then you guys can approach that open conversation.
Speaking just from the human trafficking aspect of it, for doing this for years, I think there's two ways you got to be careful. One is the social media aspect of it in Instagram. So if you can just monitor your kids' Instagram and know who they're friending. So if you all of a sudden see there's a new friend that pops up, and that friend does not look like a regular friend that he or she has, and some of those emojis are on there, that's when the red flags need to go up. Okay, you need to start asking questions. You need to reach out, like Heather said, your local police department, any of us, will teach them what all that stuff is. Second thing is know who their friends is. Like they said, know their friends. We've had multiple cases where friends reach out and say, hey, you want to go party? The friend will, the son or daughter will ask the parents, hey, my friend wants to take me to a party. They end up in the party, and all of a sudden they disappear. God knows they end up in Long Beach. Some trafficker has them, takes their phone, takes everything, and they makes them do things. So start having your kids share their location with you. That's very important. So if they're not sharing your location with you, have them share your location with you. I have 2 kids, and I have their location at all times. And I also monitor everything that they do online. And if it's something is out of the norm, I will have a conversation with them. So just be aware of all that stuff, and there's resources out there. If you reach out, we can always provide that for you.
The presentation we did tonight, Dave told us the audience, so we did that particular presentation for this audience. We have lots of presentations where we do for elementary, middle, and high school. And in the elementary, we have a term that's called trusted individual, where we talk to kids, or we talk about kids, you the parent being that trusted individual for your kid. In the event something happens, you are the one that the child can come to. And it starts at a pretty young age. If you didn't start at a young age, is it too late? No, it's never too late, but it's probably best to start at a young age. So trusted individual is a key term that we talk about with younger kids. And then Dave touched on this earlier, fear-based messaging. There are current studies that show that today fear-based messaging does not work. So if your kid come to you because you're a trusted individual, we don't recommend you use fear-based messaging. And in the end, if something happens where your child accidentally posts something, do not send any money.
Good words. So could you please give a hand for the officers who presented tonight and the pastor. And thank you for sitting through this. You're made for this. So you've been designed to care for those kids. You're in their life for a purpose. I'm sure you've gotten a lot tonight. It could be overwhelming to think through all, but just at least take a step. Afterwards, I'd encourage you to go through those doors. There are so many free resources, pamphlets out there. Grab them, take them. And our teams are out there. Zoe teams are out there to talk to you. The Zoe Tech Squad, they're ready to go. If you're like, I don't even know what to do with this device, hand it to them, and they'll show you how to walk through it on your own. They'll get your phone set up right now before you even get in your car tonight. And these officers are going to be out there as well, too. So if you have a specific question, law enforcement related, they would love to talk to you. Our Zoe team will be out there. If you have Zoe-related questions, they'll talk to you. And tonight, if there's something heavy and it's just personal, you'd like to talk to a prayer counselor, the church has prayer counselors available. They'll be standing off to my left, your right. And if you'd like to talk to somebody, they can step privately with you into that little lobby over there. All right? So thank you for coming out. And that concludes our night. Watch for more advertisements. We will be doing more of these in the future. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. There's some coffee, water out in the patio area where everyone's out there to meet and greet with you. Thank you guys for being here.